Just a quick, I got only have 14 slides, so I'm just kidding. I only have one slide. This is what I want to cover today. Going through the notes from our last conversation, I kind of picked out some of the high spots. Right at the beginning, we got about 55 minutes left. I've gone 4 or 5 hours covering ERP solutions and still not finished. So there's much more that you will not see than you will actually see. But these are the things I heard last time that we were together, or at least Aaron and Andrea. So I wanted to be sure to cover those. And like Adam said, I enjoy these when there's a lot of questions. There's really no one way to go through the system from front to back. So I know you're looking at CRM, Sales Cloud. So I wanted to look, what I can do and touch on an opportunity and how we move an opportunity into a sales order and check inventory and view what's allocated. That was one of the issues between human consumption and the pet food side. So I wanted to cover that. I'm going to purchase some carp on an open PO. I'm going to receive it. I want to reweigh it and make an inventory adjustment based on the reweigh. So we'll do that today. And then I know we're focused on inventory, but what I heard was it's as much inventory as much like getting the inventory into the system and then being able to deal with it, especially around lot traceability. So we're going to see a couple of work orders today. I'm going to take the whole carp that we purchased. I'm going to turn it into components, split sides and belly and head and tail trim. Then I want to do some split sides packaging. I'm envisioning you dump split sides into big food safe bins, and then you put them into 18 kilogram, or I think one of the things I saw, I think it was on maybe your site, is on the sales order, 18 kilogram frozen block. So we want to do a work order to get that item into inventory. And then we have one that I thought we talked a lot about a little bit about the pet food toppers. And a way I see that working in our solution is being able to do what we call a configured product, or because if you're going to do pet food toppers for Purina, they're probably going to either provide bags or you're going to buy bags on their behalf. And then you're going to do a work order to specifically build the thing that they purchased. So that's what we call a configured product. So we'll look at that for pet food toppers, some of the price breaks. So we have time. I can show a little bit about trying to track dehydration loss. So as we go, if you have something that you want to try to cover, by all means, shout it out. I'll take notes. I think that'll probably get us through more than an hour. But that's what I want to show you. So that's what you'll be looking at. Questions or comments so far? I won't stop a lot. So feel free to jump in loud and clear, and we'll take a break. So if not, I'm going to start. I'm in Salesforce Sales Cloud. I'm in the sales function. Adam's going to be talking to you a lot more about this, but this is where you get, you manage leads, opportunities, tasks, so on and so forth. And I'm in the same system. I'm not leaving Salesforce. If you have a Sales Cloud license, you'll see the Sales Cloud. If you want to do something in ERP, you can go over here without, no login. Like I said, it's all in the same org login. Now I'm in my Rootstock ERP application. And the thing about Rootstock is it's native to Salesforce. So everything you hear about Salesforce in terms of infrastructure and functionality, Rootstock leverages that. So for instance, this concept of a home page that we were just looking at in the Sales Cloud or the sales application instance, I have a home page for my ERP. But instead of lead conversion or opportunity stage management, I'm looking at cost of sales, open payables, margins, because that's the kind of information I'm managing in Rootstock. So I can build, N number of dashboards and reports based on all that data, because that data is in the same system as your Salesforce data. And other things, if you in Salesforce, there's a great global search function. So if you have some global search, I want to see, something, I want to see the bill of materials for my 18 kilogram split sides. If I just want to search that string, I'm gonna basically, I hate to say Google search, but I'm gonna Google search my Salesforce environment and see everything that I have, that meets that criteria. So those types of infrastructure bits and pieces that Salesforce brings to bear are leveraged within Rootstock. There's other things, but I'll keep moving unless there's a question. So the way I wanted to start was if you move forward with the Sales Cloud and management of opportunities, I said, okay, well, let's start with an opportunity. Here's an opportunity. I've got a customer I created called Alpha Pets. They're a pet food buyer. And I focused most of my setup on the pet food side, because that's where Aaron and I think Andrew, you were also from that same side. We'll flip over to the human consumption side, another division, to see what they've done here shortly. But I'm going to create in Salesforce Sales Cloud an opportunity that says, hey, I bumped in these Alpha Pets guys. Maybe they're an existing business. And I'm going to add some products to a potential opportunity that we're still negotiating, right? There's no official order management, inventory management. It's just an opportunity. Until I close win it, I don't really want to do any planning around it, if you will. But then within Salesforce, I can create a quote and I can add products. I can do price book management, all that stuff that I'm going to do in CRM or Sales Cloud. And then typically what happens to most companies that use Salesforce and another ERP is they do this. They close win this opportunity and they save it. And everything they've pounded into this opportunity is now in essentially a legacy state, because now if my ERP is QuickBooks, if it's IFS, if it's Infor or Oracle, I've got to swivel chair around and enter this order information into my ERP so that I can properly, place and fulfill an order. Since we're all on the same platform, I've got this function up here that says, oh, well, we can take this product information and create a Rootstock sales order from it. So I just click that button and it's going to say, however many products you have on your opportunity, I'm going to take each of those, because I have and this is telling me you've already got a sales order. Do you really want a second one? I'll cancel this, but I can save it and have multiple sales order, and then I can, cancel the old one. This says, okay, here's a new sales order number. Here's the products that you had on the opportunity. Do you still want all of them to go? Maybe last minute they said they don't want that product. I can uncheck it. Do you need to add any freight charges? You need to change any of this, units of measure. Maybe they're buying cases instead of eaches, or 100 or 1,000 pounds instead of 100 pounds or 100 kilograms, whatever the case is. If I save this, it's going to create this sales order for me. So this is sales order 30608. If I go over to 30608, here's the two products that I had on that opportunity. Now they're in my order management system, inventory management system, my ERP. So if I don't have things, I can order things. If I need to check inventory, I can see that, okay, well, I'm going to have to manufacture these pet food toppers. That's the configured item that we talked about. But I can go ahead and ship an invoice for these 18 kilogram block sides, split sides. So one thing I can do is let's make sure I have some of this. So it looks like I have 360 in my main warehouse, another 165 in my Toledo distribution center. But one thing that I'm concerned about, and I want to cover this here, let me see, is the split sides, I said, okay, that's for maybe for pet food processors, or it may be for human consumption. So we have a little potential conflict there. So I wanted to go over to my division, my human consumption division. I called it HC. So you'll see that here. Here I'm in pet food, which is my corporate division. If I go over here to this sales order, I say, oh, I would never know this sales order existed, but I'm just showing you there's a competing sales order, if you will, for 125 split sides. Well, how would I know that if I didn't already have this sales order open? Well, this sales order line over here, notice they haven't shipped it, but it's been allocated. So somebody put in this sales order, and before we ran out of split sides, 18 kilogram blocks, they allocated 125 that we had in inventory to their sales order. So the way we could see that, what we might check is we can just go look and see our sales order lines that are in an allocated status. When they ship that and it's actually gone out of inventory, then it won't be allocated anymore, it'll be shipped. So these are all the sales order lines that have been reserved but not shipped out yet. And I'm interested in this one product, so I'm going to search for anything that's in my 18 kilogram line. and I see, oh, there is a 2006. That's this guy over here. There's a line on that for the 125 allocated items. So those are in the warehouse, but they've been allocated. So if I bump that up against my sales order here, and I'm checking inventory, I see, okay, I've got plenty. I can handle their demands. I can handle this order's demands. I'm in good shape. Questions or comments? So now I've got an order captured in my system. And I've looked to see, I've got plenty of inventory. My other division has another order, but I look to be in pretty good shape. So what I could do at this point, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. If I want to send this order over to my customer, I can print out an acknowledgement form. I show you this when I meant to update this, but this is what we call our root forms module. So any ERP documentation, inventory documentation, order information, purchase orders, sales orders, work order travelers, pick lists, anything you need to print out, you can totally customize within Rootstock on the Salesforce platform using, it's kind of like a Word document mail merge template. You map the fields, or there's a lot of the fields are already mapped, and then you design this, and you can print this from your sales order or your purchase order by just doing an order review. You'll launch the process and it'll print this document. You can send that to your customer. So this can be emailed to your customer. You can have contact information on your customer record so that it automatically grabs the acknowledgement contact of your customer's account within Salesforce or your customer master and sends them this as a PDF attachment. Okay. All right. That was number one. Questions about converting an opportunity to a sales order, checking inventory, seeing what's been allocated from other departments or divisions. Good? All right.
I think I'm good. Are you good? We're good.
All right, let's go purchase some carp. So the way I kind of modeled this out was it seemed and sounded to me like you probably from what I saw of your videos and other videos, it's like there's guys that make a living fishing these rivers and they bring carp to a dock, and Lord knows what they're going to bring today, how good a day it was. And you probably don't want to issue a PO for every day. But the way I kind of set this up was I'm going to set up a blanket PO with one of my vendors called Arnold Fisher, and he's going to bring in whole Asian carp, and I'm going to, maybe I do this for a week, I do it for a month, whatever you decide, whatever's convenient. But I, price negotiate, and I say, I'm going to buy up to 10,000 or around 10,000 kilograms at $2.08 a pound or $2.08 a kilogram. And he's going to be bringing those in. It looks like yesterday or at some point in time, he brought me about almost 4,000 pounds we received. And so that means this purchase order is still open. So if he brings in some more today, I can add another line and say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't need to add another line. I want to do a receipt. So I don't need a line. What I'm going to do is against this purchase order 3261, he just showed up today and he's got some more carp to deliver, right? And he tells me he's working off a PO 30621 that's been set up for him. And I'm going to receive some amount of carp. And it looks like I've got 6,900 left to receive. I'm not going to receive all of those today. Today he's got, 2,420 pounds or 20 kilograms. It was so hard to get used to kilograms. But and then for kind of inventory management, I said, well, I'm envisioning that we put these in some like a Gaylord container, a plastic food safe, fish safe bin. Maybe these bins are numbered, and I got the bin and it's bin number 308. So I put it in there. I said these were lot controlled. I don't know if you have lot control coming off the dock from the fishermen, if you're going to say, oh, okay, well, this is a lot number that I received on this day. So I said, well, maybe what we do is we just say it's product 1001. It's today's date. He does this once a day. So it's 030425. Maybe that's my lot number. If you have a different lot number scheme, You can do that if he's actually delivering 2 different lots, which that wouldn't make sense to me, but could be the case. If you have a lot expiration, you can enter a lot expiration here. Maybe you don't want these fish sitting around more than a couple weeks before you do something with them. And I'm going to do a receipt. And again, I received 2,420 pounds. Would this be like the first way when you did a PO receipt? Whoops.
We do sales receipts, but I mean, it's similar.
Okay. All right. So this is what I thought was, this is like the first time. This is like at the dock, 2,420 pounds. Maybe you get it to your processing center, and things at the dock are chaotic, and who knows what happened. And there's maybe been some water that's dry. I'm not sure what would happen, but at some point I got to reweigh this to get it completely accurate. So it's been submitted. All right, so now I'm going to have a second purchase order receipt against that open 10,000 kilograms. And then we'll go find that in inventory and reweigh it. All right, I can close it. I won't close you. All right. All right, so I did my PO receipt. If I go back to my PO, I should have a new receipt. And if you're ever looking for what's been received on a PO, how many receipts have I got? Maybe do these fishermen typically make daily deliveries? I can go here against my PO and see that, okay, here's all the PO receipt transactions. Uh-oh, did I mess up that PO receipt transaction? Okay, let's do you again, 32, 61. Oh, yeah, he's there. All right. Anybody remember the bin number that we put that in? All right. There we go. There's my second PO transaction for 2420 came in. So this, hopefully I'm getting this close to right. This bin made it to the dock, or made it to the processing plant, and I'm going to reweigh it. So I treated a reweigh that says, well, I've already received it. If you're going to pay this person based on what you just weighed, the 2420, then we're good. We got a PO receipt. You're going to get an invoice later. It's going to match up against, he said he delivered 2420. No big deal. Hopefully we don't lose too much. If what you're going to pay is going to be this amount, as whatever you weigh now, then we may have to think through this again. But I said, all right, if I am going to do an adjustment of the bin that I just received, I'm going to do 1001 Asian carp whole I received, and show me the inventory locations. And there's my bin 308 for 2420. I'm going to adjust that. I just reweighed that, and I'm going to process that reweigh. And did it go? I'm assuming it typically goes down, right?
Yeah, generally the ice weight and stuff.
Okay. And is it just like, we don't know why, it just was inaccurate, it went down? Or if there's some that you threw away, you could adjust it down and call it scrap, or you can just say, no, we just got the wrong number. It weighed 2420 at the dock. Scales are different. Now it weighs 2408. We lost 12 kilograms. And I'm going to say what adjustment account that's going to go to. You can talk to our financials person about how to best handle that, but that's where it's going to hit the general ledger. So I'm going to adjust inventory. And now this bin of fish that came in at 2,420 kilograms is now been adjusted to 2,408. And the variance is written off to this inventory adjustment general ledger account. All right. Okay, package C costs, let's see. Questions or comments?
Now, could you print a receipt, like a sales receipt, right from that page?
I could. It's not there currently, but this, like I said, this document here, I can print a document like this for
Okay.
any object in Rootstock.
Okay.
Okay.
That's handy.
Yeah, it's very handy. I can print labels. I can print, I mean, if the data's in the system, you can use that root forms tool to print out a PDF. And we've got some people that are printing it out on, like, if you know what a Zebra printer is, they're printing it out in a ZPL format. So it's a sticky label, kind of like a UPS or Amazon label comes on a package.
Okay.
Okay. All right, no questions there. Then let's go look at a work order. Okay, so we've sold some fish. We've sold some product. We've received a bunch of whole carp into our processing facility and adjusted the weight. What we wanted to do next was, we want to do next. Okay, so we're gonna take some of that whole carp and turn it into a couple different things, and then we're gonna take the split sides that we, air quote, manufacture, process, and we're going to convert them into something that we sell. So simply, that's not that simple, but I've got a work order. So I said, okay, I'm production planning, I'm plant supervisor, whatever my role is. For today, I've got an order that says I want to take, I didn't do realistic numbers to keep it simple, but I said, okay, I'm going to take 500 kilograms of whole carp, and I'm going to what we call disassemble it. So I think I might have mentioned this in our last call. We have this process called a disassembly work order, and it was, the kind of the backstory was it's kind of built for something that you manufacture, like a machine company or something. They manufacture an engine and then they have to take it apart and put parts back into inventory. And lo and behold, we have successfully gotten a number of cannabis customers, because they do something very similar to what you do. They have a little bit on the front end where they have to grow the plant. They don't just buy the fish or buy the plant. Some of them do, but most of them grow it. So they have a slightly, in some ways more challenging, in that they have to serial track the plant. When they grow a cannabis plant, it has to have a serial number. It's called a metric tag number. And all the governments, require that. But then once they harvest it, they disassemble it. So they take one plant or 10 plants that weigh so many pounds, and they disassemble that into the flour that they make the THC products out of, the trim that is done something else with, and then they have waste. And if they processed 500 pounds of plant material, they better show that they had a total of 500 pounds of whatever things that they disassembled it into. So lo and behold, who'd have thought, you're doing something very, very similar. And I said, all right, we're going to take 500 kilograms of whole carp, and we're going to make some things that we either use and or sell. And I said, okay, we're going to convert that into split sides, some trim, some head and tail trim, and then some belly trim to make your belly, bladder, dog toy tree or dog treats, right? So I said, okay, well, if we do that, we start with 500 kilograms, which are kilogram breakdown. And I can set this up on this item as kind of a default, and then I can always go in here and adjust it. But it says, well, I'm expecting out of 500 kilograms. I said, we probably get 300 kilograms of sides, 150 of head and tail, and 50 pounds of belly trim, right? So that says, okay, then what did you actually get? Well, lo and behold, it looks like I actually got what I was planning for the split size. I got slightly less head and tail trim, slightly less belly trim. So some of those things are going to go off into a scrap bucket or a scrap account like that adjustment. And then the other thing I can do is, based on the cost of this 500 that I issue to this work order, and the cost of the labor, because I can book labor against this work order that's, here I've booked that said, I require this much per kilogram of labor to do this work. And then I can do a clock on, clock off, or book time and labor, and track those costs against this work order. And then I can attribute 75% of that cost to the split sides, 15% to the head and tail, 10% to the belly trim. So now I've got a cost per each of these items before I put them into inventory. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I processed this and I said, okay, each one of these is going to go into a separate bin, one of my big food safe, fish safe bins, and I give each one of them a lot number. How I made up this scheme. This is, I'm going to use the product and today's date. This could have been the product and the work order number, but there's already a link to the work order. So any number of ways you can do this. And then if you have, if by default this item has a 48-hour lot expiration, like you have to do something within 48 hours, then you can set that up. So as soon as this is created, the system automatically calculates your lot expiration date based on the product. So then you're never entering those. They're just automatically created. You can do lot number schemes that you can set up, the lot number prefix, and then it randomly generates a lot number every time you need one. Let's see. Got our work order. All right, so I've issued material to this work order. I've processed it. I've gotten all of, that's my other work order. All right, questions about a disassembly work order? Again, it's the way we take that whole carp, we enter time and labor against it. We receive these components into inventory. So if I go look in my inventory, I should have some head and tail. Well, let me do that. If I go look in my inventory by location, I should have some head and tail trim in a bucket labeled 155. So if I go here, all my inventory by location, I got a lot of items. I can search for trim or let's see, anything trim. Show me all my trim weight or trim. Looks like I do have some trim belly and some head and tail and 155 and 181. So my inventory is up to date and I've disassembled the whole carp into the component pieces. All right. So the next thing we wanted to do is convert some of those, just to keep track of where we are. So we purchased the carp, we converted into components and we want to do the split sides. So we're still there. So we don't sell split sides in a big plastic bucket, right? We sell them in frozen 18-kilogram corrugated box with a plastic bag containers. So another type of work order is just our regular work order. It says, okay, I'm going to take some amount of raw material as well as a corrugated box. So to make this product called 18 kilogram split side block, I need a bunch of split sides. I need a plastic bag to pack them in and a double wall corrugated box to box them in so I can ship them. I said, that's my bill of materials for that product. So I can add those individually. If I need to add something else to here, I can do it on this specific work order. But where this information comes from is it comes from the engineering item master for the product. And on that product, one of the things I can do is set up the bomb tree that says when I make a box of an 18 kilogram block of split sides as a product, I need 18 kilograms of fish of split sides and one poly bag and one corrugated box. If you need more than that, you add it to this bomb, and for every one that you're going to build or make, you'll get these things. So that's where this comes from. I said, okay, if I'm doing 500 cartons of split sides, then I need 9,000 kilograms of fish, 500 bags, and 500 boxes, right? So that math works out. And then I do the same thing. I'm going to issue all this material, and those are going to have inventory costs associated with them. I'm going to book some labor. I've got some operations. I didn't do a lot of operations. It seemed like I didn't understand it or hear anything specific. You have a processing line, but I can book time against just any operation that I create. And then here's all the components that have been issued. There's the 9,000 pounds. There's the lot number that I issued, because these split sides are lot controlled. If I issue that to a work order, I need to know what lot I issued or lots I issued. And then here's my operations transactions. Looks like this guy, Todd Fuller, worked 9.5 hours on this work order. and this other guy, Richard, worked 4.25 hours on this. And each of those people have labor costs and overhead rates, and all those things are going to be rolled into the operational costs of $602.50 was the total labor charge for this work order. So I got the cost of the fish, the inventory, cost of the labor. If I had a machine, did a machine on another one. I tracked the cost of operating the machine if you set that up in your system. And then I received this item into inventory with all those costs. So now I've got some split sides inventory that I can sell. Questions?
So every time you build a material, you can add the labor and the operations in like that, as well as the components.
Yes.
Does that come up on every, you called it a build a material tree. So you get a screen that looks like this for that?
So this is for the work order. And what this work order does is it goes to this, you set this up one time. I mean, you don't have to, you can set it up more than that, but if something changes, if you add some of those silica packets to keep the moisture out of the bag, I don't know what you'd add, but if you add an item, you can always add it here. But whatever is on this bill of materials today, and I create this work order today, all of those items are going to come into here as components that are needed.
I gotcha. So you're adding the labor and stuff to the work order.
And yes, and then the labor is being charged to the work order.
I gotcha.
And I've got a little shop floor app screen. As a shop floor person, I can say, oh, okay, I'm working on work order. I'm working on work order 275077. I just spent 4 hours, book my 4 hours, hit submit, go on to the next thing.
Okay.
Did that make sense? Because I like I said, there's a lot I'm not showing you, so it's not surprising that I'd be shocked if you didn't have any questions. So, all right. So are we good so far? What have we done? All right. We did all this. We converted our whole carp with a disassembly work order into components. And then we created some split sides. And now we've got 500 boxes of 18-kilogram frozen split sides in our cooler storage, right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. So let's look at, okay. All right, let's look at our pet toppers. How do those get into inventory? So do on time 38. If I look, so I'm back to my sales order. Remember, was there a question?
I don't think so yet.
On my opportunity, I had two things. I had the frozen blocks, and then I had this configured item, these pet toppers, and kind of my vision of that was, like I said, pet food company calls up and says, hey, we like these pet food toppers. We want them to do some cat food, make it out of carp. You guys can do that. We'll send you, a bunch of bags with our branding, or you order them or you buy them, whatever the case is, we can handle either one. But you're gonna create a work order to make that specific product for that specific customer on this specific sales order. Is that a scenario that is worth covering here in the next 5 or 6 minutes?
Yeah, because we have several customers that want to provide their own packaging.
Okay. All right. So I said, all right, well, this is a configured item. And what that means in the rootstock world is you configure it to sell. So I don't have this in inventory. Like when I looked here, I said, oh, this is a stock item. I've made these already. They're already in stock, and I've got them in various locations. That's easy. This configured item, it says, well, I can't check the inventory because it's something that I build. So I don't already have inventory. As a matter of fact, I've got a work order over here to specifically build these 250 cartons of 100 count 4-ounce bags for this customer. I can't fulfill this sales order until this work order is complete. I can't fulfill this sales order line until this work order is complete. So that way I'm not, grabbing the wrong thing off the shelf while this work order is still in process and somebody grabs, somebody else's pet toppers. It's like, well, you can't fulfill this because this work order is not finished yet. So how can that even be available for you to ship? So that's what's going on here. And I checked inventory. Let's see. So I wanted to at least fulfill part of a sales order. So I don't know. I'm gonna kind of change personas here, right? I'm the person down on the dock, and I get some communication that sales orders need to be fulfilled. And so, okay, what are we fulfilling? Well, I can fulfill a specific sales order, 30605, and I can search for everything on that sales order. Oops, I did enter the criteria. Oops, I didn't click it, 30605. And it will return to me and says, oh, there's 2 lines on this. It looks like one line has already been shipped out. But if I look, they ordered 320, I shipped 220. But maybe that's all I had. But I didn't want to wait to invoice them, so I went ahead and invoiced them for that. So I created that invoice. So I can do N number of shipments and N number of invoices against a single sales order, right? I can do partial ships all day, and I keep track of what's been shipped and what's remaining. And the way I do that, the quickest way is I can do a single pick, pack, ship, and invoice in one step. It says, all right, I've got 100 of these sitting around. If I want to do another pick, pack, ship, and invoice, this is the only line available. This hasn't been built yet, but I've got 100 of these in inventory. So let's just process it. And we'll create a second shipper. And here I've got to say what lot number. So I think I've only got one lot number of it, but if that's good, then that's fine. If not, I can edit it and change the lot number that I'm shipping. But since I only have one, I'll ship 100 of that lot, continue processing. And in the background, this will do a pick, pack, ship, remove everything from inventory, and then it'll create an invoice for your accounting folks to deal with. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Okay. That takes just a second. Now, if I... Where
does this information go when it's done processing?
I'm sorry, start that again. Say that again.
Where does the information go? You said it goes to the accounting for them, but does it go as an email? Do they get an alert on their dashboard? How do they get the information?
You can do any of those. That's a good question. Yes, you can set up an email alert. Adam, when he talks about Salesforce in general and Sales Cloud, there's tons of email alerts that you can do. It's kind of like that root forms where you can do an approval process in Salesforce, an email alert with an email template, send a notification since this is processing in the background, and I don't have to look at this. I can close it, and now it's done, almost done. So I'll close it again. And if I go to, what was I going to do? So if I go here, I have a notification. So you can push a notification if a sales invoice was created, it probably needs to be approved by finance. So I'm in finance, I would get an alert here. Instead of a purchase order has to be approved or was approved, I'd get a notice here. I get notices in my email when POs have to be approved. I can go a little bit of a side trip here, but remember I said home pages are, very customizable, and there's different apps and different home pages. So, if you're not in inventory or order management, if you're in AR using Rootstock, then you might be an AR person. You have an AR app. So here's my accounts receivable app, and it's got a very different dashboard than my operations app. It got shippers that haven't been invoiced. This is pretty bad because this is my demo company, but I've shipped $3.7 million worth of stuff to customers, and I haven't invoiced for it yet. So that's not good. That's why it's red. So I can go deal with that. I've got a couple of unposted sessions. So, you get the idea that this dashboard can cover anything and everything as, that's of interest to this role in your organization, be an AR, right, which is very different from the order management role that we looked at earlier. So they could see a dashboard here of things that have been shipped that not invoiced, and go in here and drill down into this report and start knocking things off, right? Okay, here's a shipper that hasn't been invoiced. Let's invoice it. Here's another one that hasn't been invoiced. They could get the alert. They could get the email. You know, it's the power of the platform. I hate saying it because it gets overused, but it's really the power of the Salesforce platform to be able to do all that. Okay, where did we leave off? Before we did a fulfillment. Okay, so we did a fulfillment, and we should have, unless it didn't work, we should have another invoice over there. And now we've got to go. Well, so we've got that work order hanging out here to build these toppers. So let's go look at this. And did we talk about lot traceability already?
No.
So we saw where you entered the lot that you shipped to your customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of, of 18 kilogram frozen split sides in the cooler, and you shipped them to the customer. Then that was a fulfilled order with a lot number. So here's a bunch of products that I have on orders in the past that have lot control associated with them. So let's say I want to see, I've got a problem with my I don't think I did one for that. Well, my 18Ks, I know it's right there on the top, but I can search and just get this down to show me all of the lots of 18, the frozen blocks I have. And I have that. Or I can go in here. This was like another Salesforce platform, very handy. If you just found out, oh God, I just saw some documentation. We shipped out some stuff on a lot. What's the lot number? 25-131. Let's see what we did with that. Oh boy. Oh, okay. Here we go. It was issued on 3 different orders. That lot number, there's that lot number. It was in a couple of different locations. It went out on a sales order issue on these dates. And then I can, here's the order. Oh, looks at all sent on one order, 3 different shipments in one order. So let's go to that order and find out that customer and go figure out what to do. Okay. I had another. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what this is. Okay. Then the other thing, a little bit of a general topic as well, but on lots, is Salesforce reports. I've personally dealt with a number of report writers. I used to do stuff in Crystal reports. I've done stuff in SQL, Power BI. I mean, it's not exactly a reporting tool or an analytics tool, but I'll challenge you to find something easier to use than Salesforce reports. No offense to anyone on the call, but they're built for salespeople to use. Not usually the most technical people in the organization, but have tons of reporting needs, and this was for them. So you get to leverage that ability to build these reports. So I built one this morning that says, oh, okay, let's do transactions by lot. Let's say we want to see everything that happened on a lot, not just what we ship to a customer. I want to see where I did a lot. I issued a lot of material. Maybe the lot was this lot 1380. I issued it on a work order. Oh, okay. Well, here's everything that happened to lot 1380, which was item IF 101, which is whole fish, whole carp. So I issued a bunch to this work order. I closed that work order. I received it into inventory in that amount, on this date. So I can see a whole history of a particular lot and everything that happened. I booked labor against a work order that was using that lot. So maybe there's something to do with, lots that are going bad because the person who booked the labor, you figure out there's some correlation between this operator and the lots that are going bad. It's like Todd's lots go bad a lot. Maybe he's not doing something right. So you can run some analytics, figure out some reporting to be able to figure that out. All right. Is that good for lots, lot control, and lot traceability?
I think so.
Okay. All right, got 10 minutes. What do we do? Futures invoice. We did the transactions. We did the lots. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to the report builder. Okay. So picking back up, we still have that sales order line. That's the configured item. So this is I feel like I'm crushing you with work orders. We did a disassembly work order, a regular work order, and this is essentially a regular kind of work order, but dedicated to a sale. So this work order 30605 is from sales order 30605. Line 1 of that sales order is for me to go build these pet toppers. And I said, okay, I set this up. I think I set the pet toppers up with a bomb that says, okay, here's, let me go to the inventory item. I think it's already here. Here's the bomb tree. So to build a 100 count box of 4-ounce bags, so this is one case, I guess, I need 0.67 kilograms of fish, of minced. I think I created another one. I'm really bad about like imagining stuff, and like I feel like I've been processing fish for the last 2 days because I'm like, well, you probably don't use whole split sides to make that, because that's the stuff you ship for human consumption over to Israel. That's probably valuable. You'd probably rather make pet toppers out of minced fish, which probably has, more smaller pieces in it or whatever. And I'm like, this doesn't matter. Why am I doing this? So it was fun for a while. So, all right. So we got 0.67 kilograms of minced go in a case. The bags, and again, these can be bags you purchase. These could be bags that are delivered to you from the customer. We can handle either of those. And then I need to put all that in a poly bag. And maybe I said, well, maybe I need some flaxseed oil because that's going to be lot controlled. And I need to know where where did I use all this lot of flaxseed oil that has somehow gone rancid, and now I got to do a recall on a bunch of products, right? So I threw that in there to kind of cover that scenario. So, but then the processing of this work order, what do I do here? This is the case. Review the bomb, mince the package price. So if I go back to the sales order, one of the things you mentioned that's the work order. One of the things you mentioned in the last call was price breaks. So I think I set this one up to be price breaks. I said, okay, obviously the more of these bags that I order, the better the price I'm going to get. So if I do IF 4-ounce pet toppers, and I set price breaks up for this at 50, 100, and 200. So if I go in here and say, and I'll show you where you do this. If I say, okay, they want 55 cases, well, the price for that is $115 a case. But if they say, well, if you want 110 cases, that's more than 100, you should see a price decrease. Instead of 115, should be low hundreds, I think I did. And it says, okay, the price is 105. So, and then I think you get the point. Last but not least, if you do 225, you get down into like 90 something dollars. So that's where that information is used. So, but where that information is set up, just quickly to give you an idea, we have a very extensive price discounting scheme. No one uses all of it. It's too complicated for anyone to use all of it. You just decide what you want to use. So for this product here, I set up price quantity breaks and these product pricings. I just add these records to say from what price to what price do you want to give which price. The other one I can do is a price by date. It says, oh, okay, well, maybe you want to, price this at a specific time and say, okay, my new price by date, I'm going to enter a start date and an end date and a price during that time period. And I can also do price quantities within those time periods. Takes a minute to set up, so I won't go into detail. But other things we can do, we can say this is a product in a product group called configured. You can go in our system and say, I want to do 10% discount for all products that belong to the configured product group. The customer of this sales order, if I go look in here, a customer, Alpha Pets, belongs to a customer group. I think their group is, what's their customer group? Where are you? Customer group. Their customer class. They belong to the Region 1, Level 1 customer class. I can set up a discount on a product. Every customer in a customer group can have this discount. Every customer in this customer group can have this discount on a whole product group. So get my point that it gets kind of complicated, but all you have to do is during implementation phase, you say, okay, what do we want to use? And then you set it up, and then you really don't mess with it other than the quantities. But we can handle a lot of different customer product discounting schemes. Hopefully that was as important to you as I made it out to be. Configure product. All right. I got 4 minutes. So the last thing, let's just revisit so we stay on track. All right, we did a sales order, we did pet food toppers and price breaks. The last thing, if we had time, we have 4 minutes, was a quick thing on possible way to handle dehydration loss. Because you mentioned that fairly emphatically, and I said, okay, here's how I think that could happen and how we could handle it in our system. I said, I've got a product, I've got dehydrated split sides. And it sounded like that, if you need to produce, what are we going to produce? If I want 10 kilograms of split sides, I need, wait, am I doing this right? Yeah, so for a kilogram of split sides dehydrated, I need 10 kilograms of whole sides. Did I write that down right? Because it sounded like you said you got about 90% dehydration loss. So
yeah, that's about right.
Okay. So where you do the same thing, I won't show you the BOM again, but you'd go to the BOM and say, to make dehydrated sides, a pound or a kilogram of dehydrated sides, I need 10 kilograms of whole sides or regular sides. So then when you do a work order to create dehydrated sides into inventory, then you're going to go get 10 times that much, 250 kilograms of whole fish or split sides, and then you're going to dehydrate them. So you're going to put them in here, and I meant to rename this work center the dehydrator instead of the cage, but you get the idea. And it's going to take a certain amount of time, and it might take some labor to set it up and get it in the dehydrator, and then it probably takes, I don't know, how long does it take to dehydrate a bunch of sides? I said about 6 hours. Was I close?
I don't know how long it would take.
Okay.
Hours minimum to dehydrate anything.
So I said about 6 hours, and then I do the same thing. I go and I book labor. If a person did some work, or if the work center, has $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour. So it was, for 6 3/4 hours it took to dehydrate. The cost of the machine on this work order was $2,025. The cost of the labor person on this was $62.50. So those costs roll into the output product of the dehydrated split sides. And I track it all, right? So here's where I track the details. And then the other thing that you can do is when you issue the 250, I said, well, you can allow overissue or you can disallow overissue. But I said, probably if you're dehydrating, you need 250, you got like 8 kilograms left in a partial box, throw it in there and dehydrate it, right? So I can say I issued more, and hopefully I'll get more than I would have. I'm certainly pretty sure that's the case. But then at some point, I have to receive into inventory the total kilograms of split sides. Hopefully, I'm going to get 25, but I don't have to get 25. I think I can get less than that. Maybe I get more than that. I don't know. But I do a work order receipt. I enter the amount of information, and in my last couple minutes, I said, okay, let's figure out how do we figure out dehydration loss. And I didn't get all the way there, but I did say, okay, I have a quantity. These two work orders were the dehydration item. As I said, well, I had a work order. Oh, this one here. I had a work order for 25. and I issued 258 kilograms, but I only received 24.25 kilograms, expecting 25. So for this work order receipt, you know, I had I yielded 90 something percent of my yield, and my dehydration loss was, you know, close to 90%, from 258 down to 24.25 kilograms is, you know, what got dehydrated away, right? So I assume that was water. So there's some things you can do. You can go over here and you can create a formula field. You say, okay, I want to do a row level formula, and create a formula that calculates some of that. You can do dashboard components. You know, nothing is sitting there ready to show you, but you know, hopefully you get that. Okay, wow, the reporting is very flexible, very not super technical to write, easy to modify. You know, if you like this report, and you know, we have a bunch of system reports that come out of the box, you just say save as, you know, your name for the report in your personal folder, edit it away, and if you screw it up, go back to the one and do it again, and then when you get it right, you just start using it.
Okay.
All right, I know that was a lot.
That's
but
a lot.
we did I feel like if you have, and I'm going to guess at some feedback, you know, we were talking about inventory management, and I focused a lot on getting the products into inventory, less on managing them once they're into inventory. And don't know if that was helpful. We can always have a follow-up session and just focus on, once it's in inventory, how do we manage it and move it around and cycle count it and transfer it from one place to another. But I felt like this is kind of reflective of what we talked about, so I wanted to tackle those directly.
No, I think it was good. It was a lot of information.
All right, and again, we just went across. I mean, we dove pretty deep, a little deep into some stuff, but I expect you have more questions than you had before we started. So, you know, typically that's how it works. But you know, when you huddle and you say, oh, I don't know how we did that, I'd like to see that again. You know, feel free to reach out to Adam and Sam and schedule another call and do a deep dive into a topic, or cover a topic that we didn't get to today.
Okay.
All right. That said, that's all I have.
All right. Clay, do you have any questions?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
All right.
Nice job, Todd. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Nope. Thanks for y'all's time.
Thanks, Todd.
Hope
That
it was helpful. Look forward to talking to you again.
Good. It was very good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, team.